Welcome, everyone, to this week's edition of The Weekly Sting. We're back for 2016. I'm your host, Joe Hutzler. This week, we've got a jam-packed show filled with basketball and track and field. But first, let's take a look back at this week and what's happened on the hardwood. It's been a heartbreaker and a bit of a rebound for both teams. Women's basketball falling to Guilford College 63-50. The Hornets just shot 23% from the field and had 19 turnovers. The men's team, a big 20-point win over Emory and Henry last night, 73-53. A.J. Hamilton with 15 points off the bench, and the team is now tied for third in the Old Dominion Athletic Conference. Well, because of scheduling issues, we had to go on the road, if you will, do a little bit of remote work this week and talk to our guest. And the first one we hear from is Alex Graves from inside Turner Gymnasium. Let's talk about the team to begin with and what you guys have done so far. I know it hasn't been the best result so far. Rough start to the season there for a little bit, but you guys have shown you can overcome adversity. Played well against the Marlins last Saturday, just didn't have the result that you wanted. But from your perspective as a senior, and you've seen how this team as a program has gotten better the last couple years, why is this team the team that can change it all at the end of the season?
I just think we have a lot of veteran guys. We've had a lot of injuries this season. Injury bugs got us pretty hard, so we've obviously had to change some lineups around and had to adjust some of our game plan and stuff like that. But just having a veteran group, we've won some close games that we didn't really win last year, so that's been a plus. But now we've got our full team back healthy, and we just really need to get on a roll from this point on.
I want to ask you about that Virginia Wesleyan game and your point of view on the court. Was it anything specific? It didn't seem like there was one thing you could point to that was the reason that the loss was had. It was just they made some bigger shots.
You really hit it, right on the head. In close games like that, you can always take 5 to 10 plays in a game and say, man, if this play goes differently, the outcome's a lot different. And we looked at the film, and there's really, like I said, 5 to 10 plays that you can look back and if we make those plays, it's a totally different ball game where we might come out there with a win. So that's just mental errors that we just got to sure up. It's nothing really physical. It's just really mental errors that we were messing up on, just communication errors. But those are all correctable things. Right. So it's not like we don't have the talent to do it. It's just we just have to focus and get it done. But it was really just errors that we can control. We just have to get it right from here on out.
Which is a good thing. You guys can fix those. They're fixable mistakes. For you personally, it's been a pretty good year so far. 4-time ODAC Player of the Week, and now you're part of the 1,000-point club, which is you're 22nd member of that, 17th all-time. And I can throw all those numbers out there for you, but from you as a player standpoint, what does it mean to be handed that ball that says you're a part of that club, and to see that the hard work you've put in for the last 4 years has culminated in at least that individual success?
It's a great honor, to be a part of 1,000-point club. It really is a testament to hard work. I'm not the biggest or most athletic guy, so I've really busted my butt to really get to where I am. My coaches in high school, I got to give a lot of credit to those guys. I work out with them in the summer, and obviously the coaching staff here, my teammates, and all that kind of stuff. I really credit to all those guys helping me get to where I am. Just hard work. That's really all it was, really, to get where I am.
Do you feel like that when you go into a game, you're already won mentally? Because when people look at you, they don't think that that's a guy that averages, almost a double-double per game. I've talked to Coach Scott about that, and he's like, yeah, I think we win that part as soon as game starts.
That's definitely the way it's been my whole life, really. From AAU to high school to even now, even as a senior.
Still don't get it.
They don't really respect me as much, and I thrive off that.
Right.
Just being able to kind of prove people wrong. Play with a chip on my shoulder, just because that's people would tell me I'm too small, not athletic enough, based on my whole life. So it's really something I've kind of thrived and fed off of to get to where I am.
You've done a very good job of that this year, that's for sure.
Thank you.
Let's talk about things off the court, and let's go ahead and get this out of the way. I need to make up for something that I did. One of y'all's games over at Daytona, you were our player spotlight, which is all wonderful and fine. And in your bio, it says you'd like to meet Tony Bennett. Well, me, not a UVA basketball fan, thought for some reason Alex Graves is jamming Tony Bennett in his room, which didn't make a whole lot of sense, but I went with it anyway. Obviously, I was wrong. You are a UVA fan, and you obviously are talking about the head basketball coach. Tony Bennett. Why would you like to meet someone like that and be the person when somebody asks you that question? UVA basketball coach, number one, top of my list.
I just think he's just a hardworking guy. He gets kind of those hard-nosed guys that fit into his system, and not always the top 10 recruits in the country. It's some guys that he thinks have the right qualities or what he needs to fit his system. And I just think he really built that program from pretty much the bottom of the ACC to, they've won 2 back-to-back regular season titles and a tournament title. So
right.
He's definitely built that program a lot, and I just think I'm a big UVA fan, so it's nice to see them winning again and just kind of see his perspective on how he built the program and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm sure that it is nice to see them in the win column more often than not, that's for sure. Some cool things that you've done. You've been able to travel a little bit, which is always a good experience for someone at your age. You actually went to Switzerland and Italy to play basketball. What was the main differences that you saw when you went over there, whether it be the arenas themselves or the type of fans they had? What was some things that really stood out to you?
The refereeing was a little different.
Okay.
In America, you kind of get a step when you dribble, but in Europe, if you got to put the ball down before, so we got called for a lot of travels doing that, and we were just kind of standing there looking at it like that's not how, because we're not used to it. And just the way they do things, like when you're shooting free throws over there, you can just walk in the lane whenever you want. Here, you have to obviously stay. Like they're just walking. You're shooting the free throw, and they're just like walking in from the 3-point line and stuff. Okay. So it's way different. We played with a 24-second shot clock too. So that was the pace was a lot faster. So that was different. But and being over there as a whole was just different. The way they do things was different. Obviously, they don't speak a lot of English, so
True.
So it was kind of a struggle, but it was a nice experience. I was a little nervous, first time really flying, so
okay.
So I was a little nervous, but Austin and Zach went with me, so that was a little more. I had some people that you knew, that was a little more comfortable.
I'm sure
it was pretty fun overall.
I'm sure that helped a lot.
Yeah.
What's something you take away from a trip like that to bring, maybe not skill-wise, bring back here, but just an overall culture difference that you can bring back to the States?
There's a big world out there, and there's a lot of stuff to see. It was a really good experience. We got to see a lot. We got to see Venice, which was pretty cool.
That's cool.
So we got to see a lot of cool stuff that a lot of people don't get the opportunity to see. So it was a really great experience to be able to just say you've done it and played against professional guys overseas, which is a really cool thing.
That is really cool. You also have done camps with the school, especially last year. What do you look to gain out of that time when you're looking at basically the youth of America and you're able to at least coach them for a week and teach them some things?
It's just nice to be able to give back to the community. A lot of these little kids look up to us. They're always wanting you to do stuff, dunk it and doing all this other stuff. So it's just kind of cool to be able to kind of hang out with them, and usually they just really, obviously like to play basketball, but they really just like to, even when you're eating lunch at the caf, they want to always sit at the coach's table and talk to you guys and stuff. So it's really cool just to be able to hang out with them and talk to them a little bit and have fun with the kids and stuff. And then you get to see your guys, because a lot of other guys from the team come back too. So we get to hang out with them over the summer. We play pickup after, so that's nice to be able to play with your guys and as well.
Last thing I want to ask you is, moving forward, the ultimate goal obviously is to put another year up on that banner. What does this team have to do differently or continue to do to make that happen?
We obviously have to fix those mental errors I talked about earlier. Just really hone in and focus on the game plans and the scouts and stuff like that, and focus on what we need to do, and just keep the intensity at practice. That's where you get better every day, is intensity in practice. I thought we've done a better job at that, really getting after each other and pushing each other to be better, which is what you need to do to win. So just being a better overall team and coming in with more focus and knowing that we only got 8 games left. It's time to buckle down and get it done. There's no more next week, next game. It's time to get it done. It's crunch time.
And we look forward to following you guys on that journey, and I appreciate your time, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Welcome back to the Weekly Sting, everyone. Before we move any further into the show, let's go ahead and look at the Hornet trivia question for this week. We ask you, Coach Abby Pyzik Smith has already been passed by a current player in the record books. Who has a chance next and for what? We'll, of course, get to the answer in the next segment. But before we get there, let's go back inside Turner Gymnasium, where I had a chance to talk to Sammi Goldsmith about her big week and her big year. All right, so first things first, let's talk about the team this year. You guys are doing very well, best start in program history, and you know, it's one of the things that we've talked about before in the past, and that it's interesting that you lose the all-time leading scorer in program history, but you guys are doing better in terms of record this year. So what do you attribute to the team being more successful even without that dominant scorer?
I think the team is more successful this year just because we are so balanced, and you know, one night one person could go off and the other night somebody else will. So I think that makes us harder to beat and harder to stop.
From your perspective as the point guard, you kind of see everything take place as it happens. What's different in terms of that part of it for you this year with this team and confidence level, because you know that you can pass it to anyone and they can shoot and make it?
Definitely. I think it honestly makes my job a little easier because I don't have to try so hard to go to one person. Pretty much any play we have, anything I could run, anybody can be successful with it. So I think it's awesome that I have so many teammates that are able to score.
Now obviously having those amount of teammates being able to score has helped you with the assists, right. You know, having over 100 on the season again, by far leading the way in the ODAC, obviously the career leader, single game leader. What is it, we've talked about it before, but what is it about the importance that it is to have teammates that can score? Because your position in that stat really doesn't happen unless the person you give the ball to puts the ball in the basket.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's amazing to have teammates who can put the ball in the basket, like you said, and I mean, so many of my teammates can score, but a lot of them can pass too, which is really cool. Like, we have a pretty high assist per game, so a lot of them can pass the ball as well, and that's actually helped me score too. So to be able to pass the ball and have teammates who are good at moving the ball is just overall a great thing. Speaking
of you scoring, I've seen a few times where it looks like you're so used to passing that you might give up a shot that you're not, you know, you're 5 feet away from the basket. Does that just naturally become part of your game? You're just ready to pass, you don't necessarily think about shooting all the time?
I think sometimes shooting isn't the number one thing I think about, and that's something I've tried to work on since becoming a point guard, is finding the balance between when to score, when to pass. And I think a lot of times I'm just like, my teammates are such good scorers, they take these high percentage shots, you know, what's going to be the best thing that we can do offensively to be able to score? I think it's a pretty good problem to have overall, for sure. Well, people kind of know who you are on the floor. There's been a lot of things documented for that, but I want to talk about some of the things you like to do, or some of the things that make you who you are off the court. Anybody that's watched the video this past week knows that you're going to be a part of the So You Want to Be a Coach program. Just briefly remind folks of how important that is, and that you are only one of 50 female athletes, and it's not, as you said before, it's not just in the country, it's all 3 divisions too. Right, I'm really excited to represent Lynchburg College and D3 athletics here when I go to this program, and to be able to go to the Final Four and meet a ton of people who are passionate about the same things that I am is just going to be a great experience. Now, you also do some fun things off the court when it comes to being in the kitchen and cooking. Yeah. I've been to your house when we went to the Greensboro trip, and a lot of food there that day, but you kind of told me that it's not really that different. I mean, the amount of food was a lot, but the Italian thing is certainly what the Goldsmiths like to eat. Definitely. Well, I live in a household where there's 3 boys, and they like to eat anything really, but Italian food is one of our favorites. Pizza, eggplant, Parmesan, anything, spaghetti, whatever you want. My mom has taught me so much about cooking, so that's really where it all comes from. What is the toughest thing to cook that you've ever tried? We made like a really intricate veggie lasagna for Christmas, so it just involves a lot of layers and a lot of different things, but the good thing about stuff like that is you can pretty much add whatever you want to it. True. Now, you mentioned veggie lasagna. You are a vegetarian. I am. What's the toughest part about being a vegetarian? I think the toughest part would be that I don't eat bacon anymore, and only because I'm such a breakfast person, and I love breakfast in all its entirety, but I don't really miss bacon. It just used to be a staple of my diet.
Well, I eat bacon and I miss it a lot, so I don't know how you could be a vegetarian. I have to have my bacon fix, for sure. Now, one of the interesting things that I thought is that the fact that in the springtime you don't just take off. You actually do some sports here too, as far as club lacrosse. Why do you see it as being important to make sure that you play something in the springtime?
I like playing something in the spring because, first of all, I do really enjoy lacrosse, but also the club lacrosse team here is just a great group of girls who love to have fun and love to play lacrosse. And I'm very serious and passionate about basketball, so to be able to do something in the off season that's a little less serious for me always is a great way for me to stay in shape.
Now, how much of your lacrosse skills comes from your brother and what he taught you?
I would say...
Or did you teach him?
He would want me to say that all of it has come from him,
Okay.
but honestly, we probably didn't play too much lacrosse together.
Okay. You do have a lot of lacrosse stuff in your backyard, so it makes sense that you guys would take that path. You also have traveled a good bit in the last few years. You went with the women's basketball team to Puerto Rico for that invitational, but you also traveled to Arizona. What do you like most about getting out and seeing other parts of the country and even the world?
I love seeing, just new things and meeting new people, and I think one of the coolest things is that most of my traveling has been done for basketball and to go to tournaments, so to see other gyms and other cool environments. And really, like in Puerto Rico, we were able to see the court was laid out in a totally different way, and just to know that the same game is played there but in a different way is just a cool thing to experience.
Now, you also played in Italy too, right? Or
I'm going to play
you're going
in
to
Italy.
play in Italy. Okay, so what intrigues you about going to a place like that, which Puerto Rico is not on the mainland, but it's still part of the United States? Now you're going really far away.
I'm super excited for that. Like I said, I love Italian food, but I'm really excited. I have actually never left North America, so to be able to do that is cool, and to be able to play basketball and just see a totally new world.
Mm-hmm. How long will you be there?
I think it's 2 weeks.
Okay, that's plenty of time.
Yeah.
I saw a lot in like a week, so it certainly is plenty of time to see some really cool stuff. I didn't ask, are you going to be in one spot, or are you guys going to move around?
We're going to be moving around. I think we move every 1 to 2 days, so I'm going to see a lot of different places.
Perfect. That's the best way to do it for sure. Well, last thing I want to ask is go back to the team thing and just talk about the obvious goal is to put a year on that banner for the conference championship. What is the one thing that Lynchburg women's basketball has to do to make that change?
I think that we've put in so much hard work and just a lot of time into what we're trying to do, which is to win an ODAC championship. So I think the ultimate thing that we have to do to get there is to just trust the process and enjoy it, really, because we definitely have the fighting attitude and the determination to get there. So just to know that it's going to happen.
Well, we certainly wish you the best of luck, and we've seen enough to know that probably isn't too hard for you guys to do that. Thank you for your time, and good luck with the games this week.
Thank you.
Welcome back, everybody, to the final segment here on the Weekly Sting. Before we get to our final guest, let's go ahead and look at that trivia answer that we told you about in the last segment in our Hornet Trivia this week. We asked, of course, Coach Abby Pyzik Smith has already been passed by a current player in this year's record books, but she has a chance to get passed by another. Who and for what? Channing Forbush, who is 16 away from passing her on the all-time scorers list for being the 5th all-time leading scorer at Lynchburg College. Now, what's coming up this week in basketball will be men's basketball against EMU at 2 o'clock on LHSN. Then women's basketball will take on the other Hornets team out of Shenandoah at 4:30 on LHSN and ESPN Radio. Both of those games, suits and sneakers games, is fight against cancer. So make sure when you come out that you donate to the American Cancer Society, and of course all gate money will be donated as well. Now let's get to our final guest, Kim Alfaro. Thank you so much for coming on the show here today. And I want to begin with obviously the sport that you're in, track and field. You guys are still in indoor season. You actually have a meet this weekend at Liberty. What's the difference for you, the biggest difference for you in throwing indoor and outdoor?
Well, the biggest difference is just going from indoor to outdoor, the events. So indoor you only have the weight throw and the shot put, and then outdoor you go to the hammer, the shot put. I mean, it's the same,
right?
But you know, the indoor you're throwing a bigger ball compared to the hammer throw, and hammer is a lot quicker than the weight throw. So the transition back to outdoor is always a difficult part, but you know, it always gets there.
What's the toughest part about having to train for an outdoor season when it's cold or it's snowing and you can't really be outside?
I mean, a lot of it is just, you know, getting in the gym, and, you know, we have wake, so we're in wake 24/7. You know, we have our liftings in the morning with our coaches, and then come, you know, time for practice, you're in there, and, you know, whether it's plyos or drilling or throwing for however many hours you need to get it done. So it's just the time you put into it.
Now, you obviously, as we already mentioned, you are a thrower, shot put, hammer, all those things.
Yeah.
When and why did you decide that you wanted to do that?
So actually, I started in the 5th grade.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so in the 5th grade, we had, like, you know, the fun day track and field to just try out things. And I started out as a runner.
Okay.
And then my PE teacher, she was like, hey, Kim, you know, why don't you pick up this shot put, just throw it. And I was like, okay. So I tried it out 5th grade, and then I was like, oh, I'm kind of good at this. So then 6th grade, I started really throwing, and then I started becoming very excelled, and I just, you know, started getting titles, and it was just like, wow, maybe I'm not a runner, maybe I'm a thrower. So from 6th grade on until high school, it was just my thing. And then come college, you know, you have the new event, weight throw and hammer, and those have, you know, just become my forte. What
is it like from a preparation standpoint, a nutrition standpoint, for a thrower compared to when you were a runner?
It's a lot different. You know, you gotta be eating, you gotta, you know, keep healthy, and, you know, a lot of people have the perception of where, you know, throwers aren't fast, or they're not running, or, you know, the training's different. Obviously it's different, but when you're a thrower, you're an explosive athlete, and you want a lot of power, so you need to supplement that nutrition along with all the workouts, the plyos and everything. So that transition, I mean, considering it was when I was younger, it wasn't that different, but come high school, it started to get more serious, and I wanted to throw in college, so then that's when I really started to implement things.
And now you're drinking green shakes, as you told me this morning for breakfast.
This morning, after lifting, I had a green shake. It had some spinach, kale, mangoes.
Something I would never touch, for sure. Some things combined together I would never worry about. Well, obviously you are a student athlete, and the student comes first, and you are a senior, so you're getting ready to graduate, which probably scares you a little bit, but so we won't focus too much on it. But what's something you want to do with your major?
So right now I'm going to graduate with a Bachelor's of Science in Health and Physical Education, and I want to get my master's in Applied Behavior Analysis. So that's dealing with kids with disabilities and inside and outside the classroom. So I did want to go to the route of doing adapted physical education, but now I think I'm going to broaden myself and, you know, just be in the classroom in general, maybe a little bit of PE and general education. But yeah, that's...
Try to mold the youth of America, right? Okay, that's good. I think they're in good hands. That's for sure. Now, I do want to talk about an internship that you had or you're applying to for this summer,
Yeah.
actually,
Yep,
up
postgrad.
at New England Center for Children. Is that just an extension of what you just talked about as far as why you want to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm one for experience, and post-grad internship. I actually heard back from them, and I have an interview coming up in a month or so.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically, New England Center for Children, it's more on the clinical side and the research side, but also it's a classroom for all kids from ages like 2 to 25, and you just get all that hands-on experience, which I'm looking for.
Right.
Just to see if this is what I really want to do.
That's the only way you can do it. Trust me, that's the only way you can ever find out. Something else that you've done is pretty cool as far as traveling. Turks and Caicos, went to the Philippines as well.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about the traveling there and the reason behind that. Was it just vacation?
So this past summer, I went to Turks and Caicos. My cousin got married.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice place to have that.
It was gorgeous destination wedding. So it was just a beautiful place to go. And then the Philippines, I have a lot of family that still lives there. And the last time I went was in the 5th grade.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's been a while. And I'm hoping now that I'm older that I can appreciate, the traveling. I can go maybe after graduation.
Right.
But it's just an awesome place. I love to travel, anywhere.
How many times did they say, "Oh, I remember when you were
Yeah,
like
oh,
this
yeah,
big"?
Yep.
That's very good that you at least got to go back and see them. Now, you obviously in season are always working hard, but you also like to do it off season. Has it become something where you work out so much in the season that it's just a natural thing? It's a natural high to go work out even off season.
Yes, I mean off season. If there's nothing going on, like I'm still in the weight room, whether I'm running or I'm lifting, and then even with throwing, I pick up an implement and it's June, not even in season, and I'll practice turning. I won't throw, but just the technique and stuff, and it's just something I've always done.
Right. Well, hopefully it pays off here
definitely.
in the last spring season. We got time for one more question. I just want to know, from your personal standpoint, what is a big goal that you have in mind that Kimberly Alfaro wants to reach this season?
So my ultimate goal is to make it to outdoor nationals for the hammer, but a plus for me this year that I've been really working towards is going indoor also for the weight throw. So hopefully I can make things happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so far you've been able to accomplish everything else. So wish you the best of luck in that, and thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it. That's going to do it for this week's edition of the Weekly Sting. Tune back in next week, same time, same place.